And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Wednesday, August 18th. I hope you guys all had a great day. Finally, stock market has slowed down at least a little bit. No huge sell-offs to start the day. No big rallies to end it. We stayed inside majority of the day when we look at these equity markets, but some news coming out today. We talked about it yesterday. Jerome Powell would be speaking today. We said he's going to talk about inflation. He's going to talk about possibility of tapering assets. Well, it seems like tapering assets was the topic of today's speech from him. And the Fed is looking to begin tapering assets this year. We knew it was coming, and that has sent some concern into these equity markets. So not only are equities down, crude oil is down as well. Gold stays inside. Euro and the 10-year note as well are all inside markets there. So sitting here looking at this today, we had that as soon as Jerome Powell started to speak, which was right around, I want to say 1:30 Central Time. You saw that quick volatile movement. We started to get news alerts. As soon as I got that news alert, I was waiting for something to start to happen. I watched it. We finally got the shorts in the equity markets, and hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of that. If not, there were some great chances on the inside too, right? Crude oil or equities, Nasdaq and S&Ps both opened up this morning on lows, rallied to overnight highs, broke right back down to those opening level low. So good opportunity both ways when we're looking at that inside trade. Again, these afternoon breaks like this, that's not the typical trade that we're looking for, right? We know probability is going to set us up. We continue the range inside, and then when the news changes, which is what we saw here this afternoon, the sell-off's on. So we're looking at another continuous down day here in these equities across the board. It's, is it getting concerning? Are we starting to think about it? I don't know. You look at it, things like the Nasdaq down a few hundred points already this week. Dow's down. Let's see, we just got the notification. Dow's down more than 350. Yesterday they were down 400 at its lows. I think it brought it back to down about 150 or 200 there. So equities continue to sell off. Now, crude oil, though, opened up this morning right above settlement price, and we broke right down to settles. And like we've always said, settlement's going to be one of two things. It's going to be a catalyst. It's going to continue that market and pushing it in the same direction. Or it's going to be that springboard market's going to touch and bounce right off. Well, it accelerated through settlement price today and moved from almost $67.30 approximately down to $64.50. So big moves in the crude oil market. We'll see how that continues to play out throughout the rest of the week. And then, like we said, Euro pretty much inside on the news of Fed tapering assets, volatile moment, but that market brought it right back to settlement price. Gold kind of all over, but really sets up inside nicely. Some good chances there, high to low, and then back to high. And the 10-year note, pretty quiet, started to sell off leading into Powell. As soon as Powell came out and said what's going on, that market finally closed the gap to settlement price. So those are some of the major things we've got going on, obviously, when it comes to the markets. But still a lot going on around the world. The Delta variant continues to be strong. That's leading into or part of this sell-offs that we're seeing in equities. There's still some major concerns there. It sounds like there's going to be a booster shot now for those that are doing the vaccine. And we still have a lot going on with Afghanistan. So That's something we all want to keep our eyes on. I will say I've heard some positive stories from some of my friends that I've served with, including some interesting stories about some of the people that they worked with that they're seeing helping get out of the country. So we want to keep all those people in our thoughts and hope things are okay for everyone. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look at our markets here today and see what we got going on. All right. As always, we're going to start with our crude oil market here. So again, we are looking at October with crude oil. Remember, we're looking at October. So here's what I love. This market opens up right near yesterday's value area high. When we open up here, we saw it reject prior to the open. It's giving us a great chance to look for this market to rotate lower in regular trading hours and come check prior day point of control. I think that's a relatively reasonable opportunity, a relatively reasonable trade. We're at value area high. We have point of control from the prior day down at the low. That's a great little setup for this market to look for it to stay inside. So that's the first thing I'm looking at. I'm looking to see if this market can close the gap to point of control. Well, it does that really nicely, and it continues lower throughout the day. We've got settlement price. Whoops, let me grab that here. All right, we got settlement price down here at 66.34. 66.34 right here is where settlement price is. So right in line or just below yesterday's point of control. So it's a nice little setup for me. That's the trade I'm looking at. I'm looking for the market to stay inside. I'm not looking for the breakout plays. All of a sudden, we've got our... Oh, my dog is woken up from his nap over there. All right, so market trades right down to point of control. That to me is really where I'm looking for the opportunity. Once we get down towards settlement price, am I looking for this market to catalyst down to the low? Probably not. I am sticking with inside the range, and obviously today is a Wednesday, so what do we know we have coming out every single Wednesday? That's right, we've got the EIA Petroleum Status Report. So when we take a look at what we've got coming with that number, we're going to probably want to wait just a little bit to see what that number is going to be. And that number was a draw of 3.2 million barrels. We're pulling product out of the marketplace. In theory, that should send this market higher, and that's not the case. So now that's what we're going to have to start to pay attention to. We're going to want to think about that one as the week goes on. But for me, really the great trade of the day, shorting, value area high from yesterday, running to the low. And PD, that's a great point there. We definitely want to be thinking about that stuff. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. So, like we said, S&P's great open, right? We rallied right to value area high, overnight high. Great spot for looking for that short. Same setup right here. We rally right to it. We're going to look for this market to break right down, probably right to overnight lows. And that's exactly the trades that I'm looking for on a given day. If I see this market pop just like that, I am not hesitating to take the short and look to fade the extremes, and I'm always staying range bound when the market is trading range bound. Defined really nicely in the overnight session. I'm looking here, and I'm looking right where we opened up. That's going to define the low side of my range. And where am I going to look on the high side? Well, we've got a swing high or our overnight high right here at 44.50, and we've got yesterday's value area high up here at 44.51. So I've got a lot of room I'm looking at up here with point of control as well right here at 44.46. So I've got a lot going on in that little 5-point range. So I'm going to be looking at this as my high, and I'm looking right here as my low, and I'm going to fade those extremes all day until the market gives me something else, and that something else was the news from Jerome Powell today, and that's what ignited this sell-off here to end the day. So if you are trading fundamentally and you hear what Jerome Powell was saying, yeah, you're starting to think about where's that sell-off going to come. That sell-off's probably inevitable based off of what he's saying, peeling assets, right? They're going to start taking money back. We're going to start thinking about that. How's that going to affect the economy? Is that going to send these markets lower? Probably. That's something we want to be thinking about. So if we're trading fundamentally, that's about the only way you're catching the short. Other than that, this is a very, very difficult thing to keep an eye on. Or trade to catch, excuse me. Now, look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq, we stay inside all day. Same exact principle applies here. Looking at those overnight highs, and I love being able to trade right off of point of control from yesterday. That's what we're looking at. We're looking for this market to rally to overnight highs off the open. We catch our short up above, and we're going to work this thing right down to value area low, or point of control. And that's the trade I'm looking at all day. I'm going to see if I can get opportunity based off of that range that I'm looking at. And then as soon as Jerome Powell comes out and speaks, that's when we start to see the volatility happening. And that's probably where I'm actually going to be sitting back, because I don't like to trade based off of emotion. I want to wait till this market starts to react to that emotion. So we'll keep an eye on this in the overnight session, see if the sell-off continues or not. Next, let's go ahead and look at the gold market. Another great setup here is gold. We're trading inside. I love inside days. This is where we can start to really chip away and have some good opportunity. Market opened up this morning right at yesterday's value area high. Great. Same setup. I'm looking to sell value area high. I can get in this trade at a really cheap price, and I can look for this thing to rotate down. Yep, you guessed it. Point of control. These are setups that I am looking at all day, every single day. They are setups that I'm looking for. They're setups that I know I have a high probability of making money on, and that's the continuous trade that I'm looking for. I'm going to fade those extremes. I define each and every day. I define channels of markets that I'm looking at, and I look to fade those extremes. And you can do that if the market's working sideways. You can do it if the market's trending higher, and you can do it if the market's trending lower. Define those channels to help keep yourself in check. Not always going to be perfect, but it's going to help kind of keep you in line. A lot of times when you talk to a trader and they're saying, I'm buying, market's trending higher, I keep buying, but I'm getting stopped out. Well, it's possibly because they're starting to buy on the high side of the channel. You got to watch that market, find fair value again, maintaining trend to the upside. And then the buy signal comes on those little low end or the low side of that channel. Next, let's go ahead and look at the euro. So like we said, Euro opened up this morning, right near overnight highs. This is where I'm probably not looking for that short, right? I have overnight highs, but I got a lot of room to the upside, so I'm going to be sitting on my hands off this open. And here's where it gets a little hairy. We started to show acceptance below yesterday's value area. So now, once this market is accepting below value area, we're looking for this market to sell, right? When we start to see acceptance below that level, that's when this market's really starting to sell off. Now, the news that comes out today with Jerome Powell changes the market state. So this is a prime example of when the news is going to change market state, and that's a chance for us to say, if I'm in the short down here, which is totally a reasonable short, we're accepting outside yesterday's value area, look for it to continue in that direction, right? We have a change of news or change to this market that's going to happen. That's for us to peel off our short and let the market react. So this was a difficult trade for you today, or for me today. I'm looking the short outside of value area. As we showed acceptance, market state's changed based off information put in the marketplace, and that's what we've got going on there. Now, lastly, let's go ahead and look at the 10-year note, and we'll get the heck on out of here. So 10-year note opens up pretty sideways all day long until Powell spoke. Sent this market into a tizzy, but the big thing that I'm looking at here is once he started speaking, this market worked its way right back up to settlement price of 134.08 half. So we missed it by one tick, but that was a great opportunity off the open. We could have maybe looked for the short. I'm probably not, based until I'm looking at yields and I'm watching that order flow, but I'm going to look for this market to rally right back to. Once I get back to settlement price, I'm probably not looking at this long here. I'm waiting for settlement price to come in and give me some sort of information, and I'm going to look for my opportunity once it gets to settlement price. That's not a trade that I'm trading to settlement. I'm going to look for the opportunity when we get there. All right, everybody, those are our markets here today. I want to say hello to everyone. We'll get on out of here. Ricardo, good to see you. Brett, Sean, Tanya, riding the wave. Level 2, good to see you. Way to hear Level 2. Glad you followed the plan. I know you did earlier this week, and we had a down day, but glad today turns green. Jacob, good to see you. Just can't help looking for them, but I try fewer and fewer times these days. Lovely when they hit, though. Absolutely. Love when they do. PD, good to see you. Sort of a dull day like Fed days usually are. Absolutely, until he opened his mouth and sent this market all over the place. I said, it's amazing when Fed stuff comes out, right? how much it can change that marketplace. I remember going back to, gosh, it was 2015 or maybe no, I think it was in 2016 is when they started to talk about changing rates for the first time in a while. And I remember standing there on the floor and we were all amped up. We hadn't done anything all day. And I think it was 15. And the rates changed and we had about 5 minutes of total anarchy, and then it got quiet again. It was pretty amazing. Makes me wish I was there in the days way back when that interest rate changes really had a huge effect. Hold on, my computer's spazzing out here. I'm not sure what's going on there. Yes, I did, Tanya. Surprised oil not affected more by Middle East activity. I think we all are right now, but I think it's something we're going to have to pay attention to, right? There's a lot of factors involved. Right now it's just focused in Afghanistan, but if things start to spread, it could send these things right back higher. So seeing the sell-off right now, it is pretty an interesting thing. Good afternoon, Scott. We need a coach leaderboard so we can see your trading results too. It's not going to help you. We do things a lot different sometimes, and trading a little bit different size and bigger accounts, and things are a little bit different, and we're not just strictly trading futures. I don't think it'll help you, NM. Jay, good to see you. Jay Yelk, is it possible to broadcast at 1080p? I think we are broadcasting in 1080p. Oh, no, I'm in 720. I'll take a look. Interesting question. I'll take a look at that. Stacking Bananas, good to see you. Dag, George, good old Powell. That's right, Stacking Bananas. All right, so what else do we have going on? We haven't talked about Bitcoin a lot lately, but Bitcoin has caught a little bit of a bid, trading just shy of $45,000 right now. That one's over at $44,930. If you bought the dip, hey, you're sitting pretty right now. I wonder if it lasts. That's going to be my question. I think watching Bitcoin has been one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. Tried to dabble in it a little bit. It's an interesting one. Emmanuel, Dan, is there a tutorial on how to use the platform? Yeah, we do have a bunch of how-to videos right on our YouTube page here. If you're looking at TS Trader, we have plenty of them in there. Check them out. Let us know if you have any other questions too. Dan the Hedge Hodgman, if only they knew. Most Top Step videos are 720. But I'll have to see if we can change it up. I know my camera here says 1080p, but I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to mess with things right now in the middle of the stream, but I'll take a look at this tomorrow. And we'll see how it goes, and we'll see. 100K in Bitcoin. I know a lot of analysts were calling for that earlier this year. I think those outlooks have changed just a little bit. Just let's go ahead and look at some of these stocks so really quick. Airbnb, a little pop there, $146 a share. Robinhood, a little bit of a green day here, up to $49.80. Opens up around 50. Or rallies up around 51, 52, and looks like post hours we're down just a little bit now. We got the VIX though. What do you think? Equities quiet all day, holding steady around 18. Sell-off happens. We've got a big pop we haven't seen in a while. We're up over 21 right now on the VIX. Curious to see how that thing holds. If this VIX continues to rise and equities continue to sell off, is it going to ignite a faster sell-off? I don't know. Remember, if we look back a year and a half ago when the sell-offs really started to take place, we saw this VIX skyrocket to 80 or 90. Sure don't want to see that one again, but we got to be prepared just in case. You never know what's going to happen. And, all right, last but not least, just looking ahead at tomorrow. Jobless claims tomorrow morning along with Philly Fed, both at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Let's see, PD, I still don't get the same market profile levels for some reason. Can you show your settings? Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pull those up really quick, and I will show you. All right, so here's what we got when we pull up market profile. Here's what you got. So We are running a 70% value area, and we're running strictly pit times. Make sure you're running the right pit times for each product, right? So you've got bonds here open up at 7:20, close at 2 p.m. Equities are going to open up at 8:30, close at 1500, so 3 p.m. You've got things like oil opens up at 8, so they all run different pit hours, and that's kind of how we try and run these as well. Hopefully this is going to help you here, PD, but pretty simple. I mean, that we don't make much of an adjustment to it. All right, everybody, so that's what we got here today. Drones over Texas, good to see you as well. I think I'm going to get on out of here as well. One last thing, though, this date in history, I don't think there was anything, actually. Yeah, there was nothing worthwhile on this date in history, I don't think. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. So until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and trade well. Look forward to seeing you guys.